Okay. Hello, I'm trying this again. It was Music Fest here today. My son came home and I used his cell phone. I'm back. I hit the wrong window. Let's see if this is. Hey, Rob. Hey, I'm surprised. Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to run this thing. How would I get you up here? This is the second time I use this thing. Buffering. Okay. Let's see if I can share the screen with you. Okay, how do I drop a link? I need somebody to show me how to drop a link. I'm trying to copy this to clipboard. Let's see. I'm going to try to copy this and put it on the YouTube. Let's see here. Put it on the YouTube. Because I got Safari open in YouTube. Let's see here. Put it on the YouTube. Because I got Safari open in YouTube. Yeah. Let's see here. Put it on YouTube. Because I got Safari open in YouTube. Yeah. Let's see here. Download TeamViewer. YouTube. I don't even know where that is. Yeah. Let's see here. Rob, where do I get TeamViewer at? Okay.
Oh, there you are. Ah, okay. Now you can download TeamViewer. Just do a search for it in your search bar on your browser, and you download TeamViewer, and then I can remotely log in, and it gives you a new password each time, and I can log in and I can actually work on your computer and show you how to do that stuff.
Okay. Hey, it's like starting tomorrow, we have people coming out to get Christmas trees, so maybe sometime after Christmas.
Okay.
Because this is all new to me.
I could walk you through it in just a few minutes and show you.
Yeah, because I tell you, last year we sold so many trees, we're cleared out.
I believe it.
There's a guy around here selling trees for $16 a foot, a Raiders Tree Farm, and they're bringing in pre-cut Frasers and charging $20 a foot. You think anybody's going to pay $20 a foot for a Christmas tree?
Dude, that's ridiculously high.
I know.
So for a 6 foot tree, you're going to pay.
$120.
Oh, Jesus.
And what drives the price of everything, I don't have to tell you, is the cost of fuel. Diesel
Yep.
now is 4.09 a gallon around here. It's
What
probably
part of the
hot.
country you in?
Pennsylvania, outside of Philly.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah, I saw a huge. Had to drive to my parents' house for Thanksgiving today, and I had to drive 3 hours to get there. And I watched the gas prices change drastically from town to town to town to town.
My son came here from Lancaster, which is an hour and 15 minutes away. And gas was probably like 3 cents cheaper out there.
Yeah,
But I was
well,
happy.
here in Jasper, it was 309 credit, and 2 towns over, it was 287 credit. So I mean, it's fluctuating wildly.
But the funny thing is, fuel oil went down about 15 cents this week around here.
Hmm.
But the diesel went up. And actually, believe it or not, there's a few stations that turn the light off for their diesel sign. That leads me to believe they could be out of fuel.
Well, here's the crazy part: diesel's easier to produce than gasoline is. Less of a process.
Oh, I know.
It's pretty much just filtered crude anyway.
Well, I'm afraid people aren't going to be able to get fuel oil come the end of January.
Hmm. Well, you
Because
can,
40% of our oil, we went from producing 5 million barrels a day, we're down to about maybe 2 to 3 million. Well, it was like between 4.5 and 5, because looking at a story about a month ago on Zero Hedge, which is pretty accurate, last year every oil refinery was at a 100% capacity for storage capability to refine fuel, and now they're down to 20%, and it's getting worse every day.
hmm Yeah, there's no telling what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Hell, the next 3 months.
Well, I was reading some of the drops earlier, and who knows? I mean, I'm sick of everybody predicting dates, but I think there's going to be stuff happening in December,
I
hopefully.
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put anything past anything, because this has been the last 2 years have been mind blow after mind blow after mind blow.
Hmm. Hey, I got a question. Do you have StreamYard?
Yes.
Because I'm just using the thing that gives me free 20 hours a month, I think it is.
Yeah, I use it. I test and play with it all the time. I haven't streamed on it yet, but yeah, I'm very familiar with StreamYard, OBS, and all the other stuff.
Now, how long have you been fooling around with the StreamYard?
About 4 months now.
Okay. When my son was here, well, we couldn't download it yet because there was a problem with Apple with his computer. We never got, I guess, an Apple ID user
hmm
and a password, and we'll get it tomorrow. And
Yeah,
he said,
because you can't download apps without it, but
I
you
know.
can download stuff straight from the internet.
That's what I did with the Logitech webcam, and I don't like the audio of this. It doesn't. My son let me use his iPhone today, and we did a bunch of videos of some Moody Blues and let's see, Allman Brothers Midnight Rider, and it came in crystal clear. Now he told me, because he's used it before, if we download GarageBand, if I do that, he thinks it's going to take anything I record with the Logitech, and basically the thing with the Logitech is if I record music, you can hear the phasing.
Yeah, no, that's because it's being digitized through an A to D converter. Once it leaves the camera, as an audio signal. Once it hits the computer's doing an A to D conversion, changing it over to digital, and that's where you're getting your phasing issues.
He thinks the GarageBand app will clean that up a little.
The GarageBand app is a recording software app. If it's got filters, you might be able to, but it's not going to clean it up that much. You work with speakers. A microphone's the same thing, and the quality of the mic totally has a bearing on the quality of the audio it can record.
Well, that's what I've been thinking. Is I can't believe the iPhone has a mic that's that much better than a $30 webcam.
Yep, it does, because it has audio processing built into it. They're using a condenser mic in that iPhone, and then it has all kinds of processing on it for clarity. But it's all software and it's all transparent.
Because I know with the work he does, when they're doing live music, it's all full range drive. It's all like 10, 12, 15-inch drivers, very few horns. He said all that stuff is digitally processed to get a flat response. It's not like they're just talking that. It's not like they're just. If you would just take a guitar, I don't have to tell you because you play guitar, and hook it into the amp, it's just going to come out the way it sounds. But everything nowadays is just all digital. It's basically everything is equalized digitally.
Yeah, it's all processed.
It's not like the kind of speakers I build where it's all, it's capacitors, coils.
Yeah, well, and able to capture what your speakers are doing, you'd need a very high quality. I mean, I just spent you can see this mic. I just spent almost $400 on this mic. And this is the SM7B. This is a professional recording mic, and I paid money for it, but you can hear the difference.
Now, can you hook that into the computer, or does that go into something like the Wave XLR?
Well, I'm using the Wave XLR, but I can't really show you unless I move the camera around. But I have, I'm kind of doing this really hokey because I like to play with electronics like you do. I have a 16-channel mixer board. Where I'm using this mic through the 16-channel mixing board. I have my guitar running through it, I have my drum machine running through it, and I have my bass running through it. See if it'll let me do it. Oh, wait, it's turned off right now. Hold on a second. But I have it all running through it. And then I have the output filtered through a Tascam digital recorder. So now, let me see, is it set? Yeah, it's set. Hold on just a second for it to load up. And select record. That's straight through my mixing board. And everything coming off my recorder and my mixing board. Oops, stop. Oh, hold on a second. There we go. Everything in my mixing board and the recorder is going through an XLR cable into the Wave XLR.
And you think that really cleans the sound up a lot?
Yes.
It gives the dead background, like an FM, like when you hear an FM versus AM in the studio.
Yeah, it's almost full quieting. Now, if I turn my mic up louder, where people say, oh, it needs to be louder, if I turn my mic up real loud, hold on. See, if I turn my mic up right there, you can hear background noise. You can probably hear my fans over there, maybe.
Because J.A. Smith was saying, the kind of mic I need is something that's meant for recording transients.
You need a quality mic.
But the thing is, I don't think I'm really going to spend the money because I'm just doing this as a hobby, really, just to play around.
Well, what you should do is get you an audio interface so you can do all of it and you can use it in a million different ways.
Because my son said something he has, he said it works on the same principle as the Wave XLR, where he takes some of the videos, the audio from the soundboard of, you probably never heard of the group. One is called Attila, and he said he's taken that stuff and it just reprocesses it and cleans everything up. He says it's basically the same as what the Wave XLR does.
Well, the Wave XLR is an audio interface. The advantage of the Wave XLR is it gives you this mixing panel. Here, I can show you real quick. Hold on me.
Because what he had, they've had this for quite a few years. But I told him, I said, why don't you bring one of your mics? Because some of the bands have really high-end mics.
Here, I'm sharing the screen real quick.
Okay.
You just click on it like you did to bring me up and you can see it. Okay, see over here? This is the Wave XLR interface. Now, when you talk for a second.
Yeah.
See, you show up over here in the system. When I talk, I'm showing up over here. When I do a sound effect, it shows up in my sound effect window
has been changed
as a
to a
different
non-published
channel.
number.
And then other stuff I can bring in on the browser. This is the advantage of the Wavelink. But if you use an audio interface and you use voice meter, you can use up to 15 channels where you can control it. Now, each one of these channels, you can control what the stream hears and what you hear. What the stream hears, what you hear. You see all these little icons?
Yep.
Like, see, when you talk, I turn off the stream because when you talk, if I had it streaming your voice, you'd get an echo.
Yeah, feedback, basically, reverb.
Right, exactly. And it'd be, yeah, it's really quick. And then down here, you can adjust your monitor mix. I can hear the monitor mix, but if I turn this off, I hear my actual feed. And when I hear my actual feed, I can't hear anything you're saying because I'm hearing exactly what my mic is hearing.
Okay.
But I run a bunch of stuff into
I was
DXLR.
I got a question. What kind of speakers do you have there? Are they active or?
I have M1 actives. I have M1 Alesis actives. I have a set of JBL actives, and I have a set of Mackie actives. These are my little ones, and then I have, of course, I have 3 sets of studio monitors.
Okay. Now, do you listen to music like in your living room, family room too?
I pretty much do everything at my desk. I listen to music right here. We don't really have a family room.
Okay.
Now, are you hearing a bunch of background noise in my audio?
Just a little bit, not too bad. Because I was asking J.A. Smith and John the other night about what do they think is better, a bigger room or a smaller room for studio, and they said the problem, well, we can hear it here, is in a bigger room you're going to get more reverb.
Yeah, because you have corners.
Because actually, this house we live in, we had custom built. The whole back of the house is open, so it's like the family room and the kitchen is like one big room.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it that way because when most people live in a house, you got all these walls and doors. And if my wife's in the kitchen, I like to be able to hear what she's saying. Instead of having a wall between the kitchen and the family room, we used a power lamp because we basically built the house ourselves and had a guy design it. And it's all open so we can listen to music. Because if she's in the front of the house, she can still talk to me unless the music's real loud.
I love to listen to music. I especially when I'm working, I'll put it in my earbuds. I have some wireless earbuds I use at work, and I just turn on my phone, set my phone in the truck where it gets a good signal, and I turn on the music, and while I'm working, I got music blasting in one ear, and then the other ear I got open so I can hear what people are saying to me while I'm working.
Years ago, okay, I hate what they did to new vehicles. I used to have an 85 Chevy pickup truck. I took the speakers I had behind the back seat that I built, closed box speakers, and I would put them on the hood of the truck and work outdoors at the tree farm before we built a house and listen to music for like 4 hours, no problem with running down the battery. With these newer vehicles, if you have the CD player running for an hour, your battery's going to go dead.
Well, yeah, that's because you got 100 other systems that are powered up too when you turn it on.
Yeah, there's just so much computer technology that it just drains the battery in a time at all.
Now, see, car batteries were originally designed to provide power to start the vehicle.
Yep.
And a storage place for battery power for lights and wipers and all that stuff. Nowadays, cars have gotten very, very advanced, but they haven't really came up on the battery technology in a car yet, except for the electric vehicles.
The dealer I got the truck from said there's always a constant 4.5 amp draw on the battery, and he said if these vehicles sit for a few months, the batteries are going to go down. We got to go out and start the things.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true.
Yep.
See, before we used to hunt down ghost draws using a meter to find out what's drawing the battery down so we can stop the draw on the battery. And the only way we ever found to do it on recreational vehicles and mobile homes and RVs and stuff like that was to put a battery disconnect switch directly in line to where when you flip the switch, it cuts all power leaving the battery and it totally deads the system on the other side. That's the only way to preserve battery life because then there's no draw.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's in storage. But today's vehicles, yes, everything draws off everything all the time. Hell, an alarm system on your car, when you set your alarm and walk away for a month, that alarm's eating power the whole time. You know, people come back, well, my car's dead and the battery won't start and I can't unlock my doors. And it's like, yeah, the battery died. Because they just don't give the battery capacity to newer vehicles that they should have. The way they got all this computer junk stacked up in cars now, most cars need 2 batteries.
I got a question for you. What did you think of those Audio Engineering Society papers I sent you?
Oh, I love them. I sit and read that stuff. I love that stuff. I mean, I have been an uber geek my whole life. I love technology, and I ingest all that stuff. I read it, memorize it.
That all comes down to your basic principles of electricity. And it amazes me. I've talked to people. Look at it like this: when it comes to physics or engineering, it's understanding the theory more important than being able to do the math. Some people just can't get it.
They can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah, some people don't understand the whole thing with the series circuit versus parallel is the parallel crossover is you're splitting the current between 2 drivers. With the series circuit, you're splitting the frequencies. You're not splitting the current.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people can't wrap their head around that.
And the thing is that all the work, everything with electronics, with reproducing sound through moving coil transducers, speakers, this all goes back to Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studios. Those guys figured out literally everything. And everything that's been accomplished since then is just an extension of their work, really.
Yeah, same thing with Les Paul's work with recorders.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact thing. I mean, they were innovators, but all the principles have remained the same no matter what you're using. The principle's still the same. They've added more plumbing to it, but it's still the same principle.
Yeah, they've made it more complicated, but it's you can't change the laws of physics with electricity.
The magic of electricity, radio magic.
Yeah, it annoys me that people buy these computer programs to design speakers, and they think they're an expert designer, and they don't realize there's still some minor tweaking to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got into this, when I was a teenager. Then when I was in my late 20s, I started acquiring everything I could read. It's a shame it's out of print. There was a really good publication out of Audio Amateur. It started in 1980 called Speaker Builder Magazine. There was more information in that magazine than what's in most of the books out there.
Well, there's a lot to it. I mean, that's the whole thing. People don't realize that there is a lot to it. I mean, when I worked for Custom Truck and Car Audio in Dallas, Texas, we were designing competition vehicles. And not only did we have to do all the math on it, but we had to do a lot of physical testing and a lot of tweaking and a lot of stuff to get those things to ring out and get the right dB rating we were trying to get. And there's a lot to it, but people, just put a couple of big amps, a couple of big speakers, you're good to go. And they're like, you don't even know what the resonance of your vehicle is yet. And here you are filling it with sound. If you knew what the resonant cavity of your vehicle sounded like and what it could handle by pumping white noise into it, you could figure out what it lacks and what it needs and fill those gaps. We took a 10-inch speaker and put it in a Honda Civic with a 100-watt amplifier, and it would breathe the seals around the door because we did all the math on it, got it perfect, the right amount of power, the right amount of air moving for the size cavity that was in the car. And that car would scare you. It hit so hard. We had maybe $500 put into that system. But by doing the math and the tweaking and getting it just right and getting everything to work together, you could create so much more with so little. And I've seen people put millions of dollars into a vehicle, and it's still not as good as it could have been had they put the time in.
Well, I know most people don't realize they go to a store and buy a set of loudspeakers with a flat baffle. They're hearing the tweeter before they're hearing the woofer. And that's why, the free designs, those are slope front, 0 plane delay, time aligned. It's like I figured out everything. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the some of the contribution I did on Hi-Fi Haven, where I try to explain all this to people. The whole key to getting those crossovers right is they both drivers have to be at the exact same impedance at the crossover frequency. Then you get a series resonance.
And then you have to get the audio to leave the speakers in the right sequence so they all arrive at the ears at the same time.
That's why it's a 7.5 degree angle, and that's why people don't realize Freed basically is the same crossover frequency for every two-way speaker he designed by the driver separation on the slope front baffle like that.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And that's why you'll notice in some of the new modern PA systems with the bigger companies that are designing them, they have the arrays, the flying arrays of the speakers. They actually have your angle built into the array because and they've learned how to get way more volume out of way less speakers by proper positioning and using the proper type of speakers and drivers. So what used to take 3 truckloads of equipment to do a live show before, you now can all fit in the back of one van, hang it up in the air, set it right, and boom, you can knock people down in the front row.
It's amazing though when you think of all this stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Well, it's like I got into this because back in 1979, this Irving Freed, he was based in Philadelphia. He was charging $450 for his first Model C truncated pyramid, just a kit. And $450 was a lot of money back then, after I got out of high school. And we just haphazardly built these things. And it got to the point, after my wife and I got married, I bought a table saw just to build loudspeakers, basically. You go to the lumber yard, you try to get the big pieces cut exact, then you do the rest of it, on the table saw. Because the ideal thing would be to have a panel saw. You figure these subwoofers, I use 1-inch, they call it fiberboard, but it's really industrial grade particle board. And the stuff's actually just as heavy as the fiberboard.
Now, I've seen a lot of speaker builders starting to build with Lexan, super thick plexi, the super thick Lexan, and it's so dense. They're getting really great effects out of it when they were able to do it.
Well, I remember when Ken Cantor used to post an audio corner, he was talking about that type of substance, but the thing is, it would be hard to do that at home. It'd be like trying to cut glass for a window, where it's got to be done at a factory with really high-tech equipment.
Yeah, one of the builders I know that builds them, he actually does all the specs on AutoCAD and mails it off to them, emails it to them, and they cut all the pieces pre-cut for him and send them to him. And
with the price of lumber getting so high, I had to build a new light stand to have outside to put lights on for the customers on our deck. And I remember paying like a few years ago $3.99 for pressure treated 2x4 8-foot long, and it was $5.99 at Home Depot.
Yep.
A sheet of 4x8 foot sheet of 1-inch particle board used to be like $45. Now it's probably about $130, $140.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It is.
Everything's just going to keep going up too until they fix the problems with the way things are going. I don't see a change in it. We're on the cusp of super hyperinflation.
Hyperinflation. Well, I told you before, my grandfather was an economist and predicted this stuff in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. Even my dad told me that many years ago. He goes, if things keep going this way, they're going to drive it right into a corner, and that's exactly what they've done.
And you figure with this new infrastructure bill, we're introducing more money into the economy, which is going to make the money, putting more money in the economy with nothing to back it up is going to make the value of it go down.
That's why for the kids this year, for the kids that are in the family, I don't have any children, but the kids that are in the family, we gave them all 1-ounce silver rounds for Christmas presents. Forget all the toys and all the junk. We gave them silver rounds with a note that says, hang on to this till it gets valuable. Because it's going to.
Well, the thing is, back in, I think it must have been back in the, it must have been back around 1983 or 84. We bought a bunch of silver dollars. The price of that hasn't gone up a lot, but in the long run, it's worth it because it's got to, it's not going to be devalued.
Well, you look at it this way: gold and silver have been a monetary means on this planet for every historical record we've ever seen. As far as everything on this planet, at some point, gold and silver always have had value. Many different societies, many different cultures. It's been a staple on this planet for a long time, so I figure it's a pretty good investment.
Well, I prefer the silver over the gold because small enough denominations.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically the junk silver that guy was talking about on Liberty Warrior 3.
Yep.
I think that's a better buy than gold. And one thing I don't, okay, this, I haven't seen any on the internet. I remember years ago, my father bought some of these 1 pound silver blocks. They were ugly looking. You could see where part of the metal, like, it was so ununiform. They just put it like in a mold, and you could see where like some of it dripped off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like the silver people are selling. The silver you buy online today, those bars, those things are pristine, perfectly shaped.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, there's as far as audio stuff. I've been in electronics, golly. I mean, I got in trouble by my dad when I was a kid for pulling apart his Betamax, completely disassembling it on a table, every gear, pulley, and rubber band wheel that was in it, and reassembling it and making it work correctly. So I've kind of pretty much been hooked on this stuff forever. But I mean, when it comes down to, there's a lot I'm learning to apply to the computer world from the analog world.
Well, my dad understood everything from the theory, but he wasn't good um,
Sorry, my
getting
dog's
his
going
hand,
AWOL.
getting his hands on anything electronics. He wasn't very mechanical. Because I remember reading some of um, physics books. A lot of people don't unless they've gone to school for it, they've never heard of what a Wheatstone bridge is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's funny. The first time I saw the movie Back to the Future, I saw it in a movie theater, and he was showing the flux capacitor, and I jumped up and said, it's a delta Y. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
Because they don't know what you're talking about.
But I remember it from school. That's a delta Y. It's three phases. Three phases. It's like, wait a minute. They just didn't get it.
So basically, are you an electrician?
I had my electrician's license, but due to a unforeseen problem, I lost the license. Had nothing to do with my work. It had to do with an ex-wife. But I went into low voltage because you don't require a whole lot of licensing for it. But I've been in electronics and electrical all my life.
What's the highest you can work with, like 220?
No, the highest I've worked with was I think 93,000.
Okay.
Working on the block transformers and working on supply lines off but I wouldn't do any of that today because you're getting too much trouble doing that. But I can wire a house. I wire RVs with 12 volts and 110 all the time, and I do them so far above code it's not even funny. I wish I could if I could pull my phone up, I could show you some crazy pictures of some of the stuff I've done. But I do all this stuff to where it looks like the guys from NASA came in because I like to do everything with flat military 90-degree angle wiring. Everything's flat, straight, and organized and labeled, and they trip on that, but it's my main selling point. So,
and copper's like tripled in price.
Oh God!
We built this house in 2002.
I'm so glad I hung on to all my scrap. I'm just gonna wait for the price to get ridiculous, and then I'll go out there and strip it all and bring it in.
Yeah, the price. Anyone that wants to build speakers, the price of inductors has gone through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, companies like Parts Express, Mattis Sound, Meniscus Audio,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really have the best buys. There's a company in Canada called Solon Electronic. They have the best buy. If a person, back when I bought inductors, these subwoofers take 12 mil Henry 14 gauge air core inductors. The price of those is like double of what they used to be.
Oh, I know it. But it's the same. But anyway, I've got turkey hangover bad.
My wife also made some duck.
Oh wow, really? Haven't had duck in a long time.
Actually, even though like on turkey or chicken, I like the thighs the best, the dark meat. On duck, the best meat is around the breast. And the drumsticks they're a lot smaller than a chicken. I think she got like a 5-pound duck. Plus, my wife's a vegetarian, so my son and I are the ones that feasted out.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, at least the duck doesn't have that chemical in it that makes you go to sleep like turkey does.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, hey, we need to get together and do a chat again sometime. And
hey, it was great. It was great talking to you. Then another thing, okay, I just don't get it. It's like,
well, I'll tell you right.
Somebody let me on the show a few times, and anytime I've tried to get on there, they've kicked me off backstage. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, I tell you what is download TeamViewer, the
Yeah,
program TeamViewer. Just search for it on Safari or whatever you're using. Download TeamViewer. Get the free version for personal use.
yeah.
Get it installed, and the next time you call me, dang it, I gotta fly in here. The next time we talk, you can install it, and we can sit down, and I can log in, and I can walk you through all these different programs that we're using, and I can show you how to be proficient with them very quickly, so that when you do get up on a stream, you're not fumbling around. You can go right through it and handle it.
Like I said, I don't know what the problem is. Like, why it doesn't want me on there anymore?
People are fickle, dude. They're very fickle.
I tell you, a lot of people just don't understand me.
Well,
Unfortunately, I can
a
carry
lot
on
of this stuff goes right over most people's heads.
People don't comprehend a lot of what I'm saying. It's like the only two people that understand me is my wife and my son.
Oh, but that's because they're there. But I mean, I understand completely. I start talking to people and their eyes glaze over. You know, especially if I go off on a tangent talking about some technical detail or an aspect of something. They're just like, they don't know what to say. It's just because people have a lot of knowledge, but a lot of people don't have a whole lot of technical knowledge.
That's what it really takes is the technical stuff.
And the only way you get that is by years and years and years of working with it.
Well, just like when my wife and I built this house, we acted as the builder. We hired each person to do each thing, and we had to order all the materials.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing that saved us was the framer. He gave us a lumber list, so we didn't have to figure out how many of this and how many of that to get.
Yeah, and that all comes with experience. That's not something you can learn out of a book.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. But anyway, I'm gonna have to jump out. But we'll talk again more. I'm trying to get in touch with Craig to find out if we're gonna do the hair thing in the morning.
Well, I'm going to be busy. Hopefully, having customers here to get trees tomorrow, Alan.
Amen.
Hey, I'm glad I met you.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. I'm here. You got my email, so
Yeah.
don't be afraid to send an email and say howdy. But I'm sure we'll run into each other in the chat rooms.
Okay. Hey, you have a good night and take care.
You too. God bless you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Okay. I'm going to end it now
Good night, sir.
then. Good night, Alan.